Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Welcome to Start from the Bottom,
Hi, it's my
Marianne.
first podcast. And you know what? I went over last night to my cute little, 25-year-old bestie and said, is there some sort of light I should have? And she gave it to me. And in true ADD fashion, I have it, but have not hooked it up. So here I am. You're light and bright, and I'm just going to be
I
weird.
told you
Yeah.
I'm literally sitting right in front of a
You
window.
are?
I
I'm
don't have,
kind of in front of a window, but anyway, we're good.
we're good.
We're good.
Sad I didn't see you last weekend. I was supposed to see Marianne. We have a friend who had a baby shower planned in LA and we canceled it because of the fires. And I was sad to not see you.
Yeah, it was sad. It was a weird. I don't go to LA a lot, but I had a Thursday night fun gathering that got canceled, and then my weekend with you and with all of our besties for the shower. And anyway, I lived in Altadena for, oh gosh, 10 years. Had all my kids there, and so it's been weird. It's been really sad. So. But a lot of people are pitching in and helping, and it's so nice to see that. And it's been nice to connect with old friends from Pasadena and Altadena, and just heartbreaking. So,
Yeah.
but I missed you. It obviously didn't feel right to be there. So,
No, I'm happy we canceled it. It's just terrible circumstances, and it's been hard to see all these people who have lost their homes or their schools or
yeah,
all the
cold
things.
little elementary school burned down. I texted a neighbor this morning to check on my house because at first we didn't think it had, then we heard it had. I'm not sure. So, but it's sad
Um,
around, but yeah.
yeah, and then I saw you did a lot of donations. We're actually donating to Baby because they are gathering donations for moms with babies and young kids that have been displaced. So that's how Freshly Picked is donating. And I saw you were collecting a lot of
Is that Molly Sims program? Or is she just affiliated?
She's
No.
affiliated. All the celebrities are. It is. I can't remember. It's not Molly Sims. Who now it's gonna drive me crazy. Let me just Google it. Who is the founder of Baby to Baby?
Go on.
As soon as I say it, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah."
I feel like I am gonna say, oh yeah.
Kelly Sawyer.
Okay. Okay. That I would not have said, oh yeah, but okay, good. Now, I don't. But I'm not real good with pop culture. Because I think I've aged out of pop culture. Is that possible? Maybe. I don't know.
I feel like I have recently as well. Like I'll see a picture and I'm like, "Who's that?"
I know. I know. I was at an event for the last 2 days helping another florist, and I was like, do you guys ever play Wavelength? And we were explaining the game, and then I realized everyone's so much younger than me in this group. I don't know that we would, you know what that game is? Yeah.
No,
I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it's fun, but it's kind of it's a ranking system. You throw out a topic, you rank it. I'll play it with some of our Anna, who's like Susan and I's mutual niece.
Yes.
Susan's goddaughter and my actual niece. And anyway, you have to play it with people, but anyway, it was funny. I was realizing, okay, I think my references are all going to be different. So
yes.
But, yeah. So anyway, yes, I did take some donations. It was on accident, but it was made me feel so much better. I got away from the TV. I saw that there was a local pub that was trucking stuff up to LA that day or the next day, and just said, hey, bring me whatever you got. And people kind of filled my backyard, and then out of town friends wanted to donate, and they did. And so I was at Costco buying things, and it was so great to see the amount of other people that were also doing the same thing. And just, it was just a good testament to like get away from the TV and just go do something. And I'm not always the person that goes and does something, but it just kind of happened, and it was better. It made me feel at least like you're doing some small thing and not spiral.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and every little bit does help. So that's
totally. Yep.
Okay, Marianne, how did you get started?
Well, I'm a cautionary tale. My podcast just put cautionary tale on mine.
Okay.
I grew up, I think, with that mentality of you're going to get married and you're going to have babies and you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, which I loved, by the way. No, nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. I loved that. but ended up getting divorced and kind of started the business. Well, I guess I should say I got divorced and was like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now? I had a lot of little talents and hobbies and skills, but nothing I thought I could monetize, and had a degree that was obsolete, and it wasn't. It was just industrial design, which was now all CAD. Didn't think I wanted to be sitting at a computer, and just really had no confidence in myself, just having never been in the workforce. I just thought, what am I going to do? And so my business kind of started by accident, and I honestly think that's the only way I would have started one for me, just because I don't have the Susan hustle. I'm like, do I need to go to like an ayahuasca retreat and like and like say like I can we find that somewhere? Is there part of my brain that needs to be unlocked? But anyway, so I started. I have a party every year that I'd started when my kids were young, and when we moved to Orange County, we left Altadena and moved to Orange County in 2007, and I had this party and just loved putting fresh greens all over the house and making it pretty and doing kind of all my creative things, and I loved it, and I was really surprised how much people liked it, and how, you know, everyone was, where'd you get the flowers and who did this and who did that? And to me it was, I mean, I thought it was pretty, but I didn't think it was like a gift or something, anything different than anyone else. But it helped me realize that maybe it was, and I'd always loved playing with flowers. And as I was going through my divorce, I started helping a friend who was a wedding planner with weddings, and I was doing a lot of baking actually for weddings, and helping her on site, and realizing I kind of liked that event hustle. And one of the girls that I worked with, it was a friend that was a florist, said, hey, I'm actually I'm gonna stop doing this. I think you should kind of take it over. And I didn't really take over her business. I think I just maybe took over being the florist in this little area for a minute. And I thought, well, I can't be a florist. I don't know how to be a florist. You know, it was that complete mentality of I have to know what I'm doing to start. And then I just got thrown into the mix because one of our friends got remarried and said, hey, you know, why don't you do my flowers? And I did it. And then she was a planner. And the next wedding, she just said, oh yeah, if you hire me, you hire my in-house florist. And it was way too big of a wedding. And anyway, so I started just doing florals for events, and just thought this is going to be a little part-time thing to kind of, you know, my husband at the time had moved out, and I needed to, you know, we just needed to boost that income to households. And then it just snowballed from there to where now I'm full-time, although it's very seasonal, but I am the breadwinner in the house, and I'm doing it on my own and completely supporting myself with this business, which I feel like I could be doing so much better. But when I look back at, sorry, I'll get emotional. When I look back at me 10, 12 years ago, I know I'd be proud of myself. So I just am not a business person. Clearly, I'm a creative. I'm a crier. Hi. Welcome to Freshly Baked.
Okay, I love so much about your story. I always have. But I loved the necessity of like, okay, I need to make some money, so I'm gonna what do I have and what can I optimize? And I love the term accidental entrepreneur. It's so good. But what was I gonna ask? It was around, yeah. So you said my first wedding was too big. What do you mean by that?
So, well, the first wedding I did was for my planner friend, and that was very doable. And she actually, my old house before we kind of actually divorced and got smaller places, I had a big pretty house with a big yard, and so she did her wedding in my backyard. And so it was like this very doable wedding where you're just making the flowers at your house, putting them in the backyard, easy to figure out. And then the next one, a guy hired her, well, it's funny in our LDS community. I'm LDS like you are. I don't know. Do we have to say the whole name? But Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for my followers who are like, what is that? Susan's in Utah. Everybody knows. Anyway, we people tend to get married a little bit younger, and so sometimes it's like the parents. So when I say anyway, planning it. So she's talking to this guy planning his daughter's wedding, and she just said, yeah, you're going to use my in-house florist. And he said, okay, it's going to be a good size wedding. And then she hired me, and then it doubled what it was going to be. So it was just a wedding that you should never take on not knowing what you're doing. And like I've heard you say before, I could have gone to school and spent the money or learned by making a ton of mistakes. I don't think I made a ton of mistakes, only because people stepped in and really stepped up to the plate. And I'm so lucky that I had people in my life that were kind of supporting me and realizing I was in over my head. And, from people, there's just so many things with florals, you don't realize that I didn't realize the amount of trash I was going to have, who's going to, anyway, so many things. And I just had people come kind of help solve those problems. And, I think I was maybe at 48 hours. That first one, just take caffeine and whatever, drugs I could find that would work. But, a mother-in-law that probably, practically broke her back helping me, and just good friends. But it was a wedding where I went, okay, if I can figure this out and do this, then everything else will be easy. And that is still the hardest. I've done some hard ones. I've done some that have, making me, where you go, I'm not doing this anymore. But that one was the hardest. And just because I didn't know what I was doing, I wasn't set up for it, but I figured out what I was doing. And then went maybe a year after that and took a really great workshop from a woman up at Erin Benzacane Floret. I think she's got, what is she on? I don't know what network. It's whatever Magnolia's on. Anyway, she's a flower farmer. But at the time she was doing events, and I went and invested in myself and took her course and went up there for 3 days. And it was good going and doing something like that after I'd had a bunch of weddings under my belt, because then I knew what questions to ask. And I think what surprised me was just the constant revelation I kept having was, you have that imposter syndrome, and I don't know what I'm doing. And you realize that nobody does, and that there's no one way to do it. And there's no right way to do it, at least in florals. And I'm sure that's the case in so many businesses, maybe not heart surgery. Maybe there's probably a right way.
Yeah. Or accounting.
Right. Math.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But lawyers. Yes. There's a few.
Lawyers. I don't know. There's a lot of ways. But anyway, we won't go there. But yeah, that was a total epiphany, and in a revelation I still constantly have. And I've heard you say it so much, how much nobody knows what they're doing. And
I feel like I learned that 2 or 3 times a year, every year.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what the question is, and I have no idea if I answered it.
Okay. So no, my people are always like, how do you podcast? I'm like, you make a short story long. And so Marianne is the perfect guest for this podcast.
I'm like, ask me a question. Do you have 2 hours? And we'll go on.
My favorite part about you.
I have a friend that will say, I would say to him, I have something to tell you. And he'd be like, are we going to hear 1 or 20 stories right now? So now our mutual friend, Vicky, who Susan, will sometimes say 1 or 20. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. What do you have time?
Let's see. Let's just dive in and see what happens. So you went and took your floral class, and there you realized no one knows what they were doing.
I realized kind of before that, because I started out just going and kind of freelancing and working for other florals. I'd see florists at the mart that had beautiful carts, and I could just kind of tell, oh, she seems to have a similar vision or similar style. And I'd just go say, hey, can I I'd love to help you. And I mean, looking back at the things I didn't know, I mean, I remember the first time I helped a florist that I really admired and going, oh, zip ties. That's how you guys are holding everything up. And she kind of looked at me, it was like the equivalent of you being like, oh, you have a laptop. I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
so funny. And,
Oh, an internet connection to sell online.
oh,
Crazy.
oh, you do email. Oh, you have a subscriber list. Got it. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I just go help people and I would learn. I mean, in this particular business, I remember I shouldn't rip on any school. I was at the LA Mart once and I saw a group from a school touring that had a floral design program and I'm just gonna say it. I don't know if they still have it. It was BYU Idaho and it's good to learn all the technical stuff, but this is an industry where you can learn. They all had their BYU shirts on and I went and talked to the professor and such a nice guy. But this was years and years ago. I don't know if it still exists, but I've had some people come through and work for me that are like, oh, I went and got that degree and it was great. But I tell everyone, if you're going into florals, just go get a business degree. And then you can learn this from work with people. YouTube, there's a million ways to learn it. You don't need to be in school for it. If you went to school for it, great. I did not, I wish I could go back and tell myself to go to school for about 5 different things, but you live and learn and here we are. So.
Okay. I love it. So you did the floral class. Was that the one in Oregon you did? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, that was the one it was in Washington. I'm trying to think of are you talking about the one I said I went and took from Erin? Yeah. So that was in Washington. That was years and years and years ago. She doesn't, that was right before she like blew up, but it was, I think almost as hard as getting Taylor Swift tickets, getting into that. In fact, I didn't get into it, but anyway, you would have been proud of how I worked the system and got into it. So anyway.
Wait, tell us, because I always love a work.
Well, okay. I didn't, it wasn't so much a Susan hustle. It's just this black art is bothering me. And I really would prefer to be looking at this. My ADD brain is showing up right now. Here, that's better. Okay. So she offered a scholarship and you had to write, it was like a 300, what I thought, or 3,000. I don't know. I thought it was words, but it was characters. So I wrote this long thing about why I wanted the scholarship. It's a long emotional thing.
Yeah.
And then had to like dial it down to 3 sentences. And so sent that in and I didn't get it, but I was an honorable mention in their newsletter. She was like, there were so many entries that we wanted to give scholarships to, and here are a few that didn't get it, but we really loved what they had to say. So I log on and we're, everyone's, at 8 a.m. and I'm all ready to go. And, back then I don't think I wouldn't have known anything about having a, faster or slower, computer system, or if that was even needed, but the system crashed. And so I'm taking pictures of my computer. I'm on at 8, I'm trying to get in and it was just, you couldn't put it in your cart. And they just had such huge interest that year because she was blowing up. And so I reached out, I took pictures and I immediately sent them to her and to her assistant, Jill. Just said, hey, I was an honorable mention. I didn't think I could afford this, but I was cleaning out a cupboard and I found, I think it was like 3,500 years and years ago, and I found, this is so, I'll get paid sometimes in cash and just stick it in an envelope in the cupboard. And I found one of those envelopes and I'm better now. I have a safe actually that I put it in.
Oh,
and then
good job.
Try to get it in the bank. We're good now. I think you had shoe boxes of cash, right?
Oh, I had safes.
You had safe.
Yeah, I put them in the safes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do have a safe now.
Yeah, no, early years of business, you have a lot of cash floating around and it's hard to keep track of it all.
And I just, someone would pay me and I'm talking to my kids were younger and I'd be like, I don't want this to get lost. Let me just stick it up here and then not know where it is. And anyway, and back then I could kind of afford to not know where it was because I was, still getting help from my ex, and that is not the case now. I know where the money is. But anyway, I found that and felt like, okay, now I'm really supposed to go. So then I wrote to them and said, hey, I will pay to come I was on the, I was on at 8, didn't get in. And she said, I think I'm okay to say this now. She said, she said, yeah, we're going to make a space for you, because you reached out and because we did love your essay, and don't tell anyone. And, I think now we're safe 8 years later.
Because it was like, what, like 6, 7 years ago?
Probably, yeah, 7, maybe 8. I don't know. Yeah. So,
yeah, the statute of limitations is up on that
one.
It's
up.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Sure.
So anyway, it wasn't a huge Susan, but I was just like, at that moment, I was proud of myself for like, not just being like, oh, I didn't get in, and actually like reaching out, and because it was great. And I met great people, and it actually made me realize that I was doing so many things right. And I had been doing it for a couple of years at that point. So I kind of knew I had so much to learn, but I wasn't totally wrong on all of it. So.
And that's such a fun realization too, is like being like, oh, I mean, you probably, like me, have gone through waves of, you said at the beginning, like imposter syndrome, where you're like, I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. And I feel like that was probably such a good, like confidence booster for you, to have that, like, oh, wait, I already do that. Check.
Yeah, no, totally. I was sitting there like, that's how I make that. Oh, and, and especially some of the, people were like, oh my gosh, I never thought to do that. And I was like, I did. Anyway, kind of quiet. I'm like, quietly internally patting myself on the back.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you got to take, when you're an entrepreneur, you got to take those wins when you get them.
Totally.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
So you keep bringing up the Susan hustle, which I appreciate. I don't think I'm a hustler. I think I'm just relentless and maybe a little annoying.
Hustle is a negative word.
No. I think it's a great word.
Yeah. I just mean, you have this drive. You and I, we've talked, we're so opposite, which makes me love you so much, because I look at you and go, I mean, Susan and I were on an Italy trip together, and, the creatives, a few of us, we kind of had a good mixed group of personalities, and, we're taking 27 pictures of pretty doors, and Susan's like, hey, to the ferry driver, can you take me around the back end of Venice? Because I want to see like how the trash system works. Like, I want to see how the systems and operations work here. I feel like we could do this better. And I'm thinking like, how the hell does that cross your mind? I'm just like, look at that door. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at those colors. Ooh, that would be a pretty color combo,
We are very different, and it's why it's good. But I think, well, and I was just going to say, I admire so much your creativity. Like, I went and helped you with an event. I mean, I was a small part of a big operation.
No, but
you guys were killing it.
Was every set of willing hands on an event like that. I mean, so helpful.
It was wild. But the stuff that you produced, like, I can remember it was at the Edison House in Salt Lake City. We were back by the kitchen, and we were talking about something. I can't remember what we were talking about. I was totally enthralled because Marianne's the best storyteller. So if you can get like 5 minutes, or if you have 5 minutes to 5 hours, like, grab Marianne, she'll tell you all the stories. And I just was watching you put together the most beautiful bouquet that I could have never in my wildest dreams come up with. And it was just so fascinating. And so you were just so like, oh, and then I'm going to cut this and then this. And it was beautiful and really cool to watch your mind work. So mutual admiration.
Dialed in. Yeah.
Mutual admiration for each other on those. Thank you. Okay. So Marianne, if it hasn't been clear, she runs a floral business.
Yes, yeah. Let's talk about all the details and not the main point. That is so me. Well,
it's my fault. I didn't ask you to begin with. That should have been my first question. We go.
I have an event floral business, which is very different than a floral shop. A floral shop and event florals are like two different businesses. There are some people that successfully run both. I don't think that's my jam. But so I have in my garage is a studio. I have a walk-in cooler. I didn't have that at the beginning. I have that now. And just, all my supplies out there. And I work, my clients don't, typically I'll meet them at the venue, or I'll we'll meet at a different location. I don't really have a need to have a beautiful studio space. I would love to have a beautiful studio space, but haven't really justified that. And when my kids were young, it was really nice to just be home. And if my kids had been really little, I probably would have needed a studio space because they wouldn't have been, they would have been, it would have been too hard for them to understand, that mom time. But my kids were old enough when I started that I was able to just kind of do it from home, and that's continued to work for me. And I do weddings and corporate events and just produce it all here, and then truck it all over, and then I'll hire people. I'll hire other florists as freelancers to come help me, and then day of, I have other florists that come help out, or friends, or I've got to kind of figure that out. I'm at a point where I want to grow a little bit, and I've been really lucky that as part of the accidental entrepreneur plan, I think because of because I've been very lucky. I've got a lot of good friends. I live in a great community, a great religious community. And so just word of mouth, and connecting with some planners that have really been helpful to my business. I haven't really had to market myself or do a lot of that back end stuff. And now I'm at the point where I think I need to level up, and I need to do that. And so that's what 2025 needs to be about, figuring out kind of what I want and how I'm going to go get that done. So
yeah, because you kind of are at like an inflection point with your life too. Now we're going off script, Marianne, but I could talk to you for hours about anything, because your youngest is getting ready to graduate high school.
He is. It's crazy. I mean, and I feel like that I laugh at myself. I'm like, oh, I'm that lady. I want to just grab people in the grocery store and go, when they're having a hard day, like it goes so fast. And once your kids are in high school, it is just, it flies by. And it's the, when your kids are young, it's different, but the days are long, the years are short, and it goes so fast. And it's great. Having adult kids is great. It's so fun to be friends with them, but it does go by fast. And I'm grateful I have this business, because I think if he left and I was completely wrapped up, that sounds negative, because I really just, I love being a stay-at-home mom is amazing. And I would still be doing that if my life circumstances hadn't pushed me into something else. But I'm grateful I have this, so that I have something else to kind of put my effort in. It's another baby. So yeah.
Yeah. Cause you have 3 children. Two are in their 20s. One is graduating high school.
24, who's graduated college and working, a daughter who's 22, who's in school studying up there in Utah, and then a son who's graduating. He's 18, and so he'll graduate this year and probably go on a mission for our church. That's what his plan is, and then start school. And yeah.
Right. So now you're sitting here going, what, like, have you decided? What do you do, Marianne? What's the next step?
I mean, I feel like
I'm putting you very much on the spot right now, so you can tell me to shut up.
Oh no, I mean, what I need to do is I need to get my crap together. I want to say the other word, but I am monitoring myself.
Thank you.
I need to
family-friendly show. Yes.
I mean, maybe get a website up, maybe get some branding done. I have such perfectionism issues where it's like, if I don't know exactly how I want to do it, I'll just not do it. And I look at, do I spend a lot of money doing that? I'll just kind of, I need to be better at the done is better than perfect. And I'm really bad at that. But, so I need to figure out, I need to start with the website, and then I need to kind of figure out how I can best, I need to reach out to some people. I need to get my business growing to where I can hire someone. What I need is to have a person, even if it's just part-time, I need to have someone who is doing all the things I'm not good at, and I spend way too much time doing things that other people could do. I really need to be focusing on the creative part. So it'll always be the great thing about this industry with florals, it's incredibly collaborative. I have been so surprised. I mean, I didn't think it, well, I guess just not having had a career until later in life, my assumption was that people would be really competitive with each other in an industry like this. And that has not been my experience. We all use each other. We all work with each other, and we're friendly, and we share information. And that's been a really beautiful part of the industry for me, is the people and the friendships I've made. I was just out helping a friend for the last 2 days and working, freelancing for a friend out in Palm Desert, a really talented florist. And I, every time I learn new things. And so we all help each other. So hiring, it's like finding a person who can do, has a creative piece, but also, you know, can jump in and just kind of keep me on task and do some of the things that I am not good at and that I'm probably wasting my time on. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think I need to get myself organized for that to happen. Maybe next year. Maybe that's 2026.
That's 2026 initiative.
2025, we're gonna get a website up, get some branding done, and just, you know, when planners hire you, they see the work I do. I do good work. I mean, brides, let me know if I'm wrong if you're listening to this. I've never had an unhappy bride in like 12 years of weddings. I don't think. And so, you know, the planners, I get a lot of work from planners that see my work and then suggest me to brides. But I do think that, you know, I could appear a lot more professional. I could keep my Instagram up. I could get a website. So those are some things we're going to do.
It's hard though, as an entrepreneur, specifically like a solopreneur, to know what to spend your time on. And so ignore the stuff we should be doing. How in the past have you decided to like delineate your time? Like, how have you managed that?
Well, it just depends. If I'm not, there are jobs where I can do everything myself from start to finish, except for day of on site, you know?
Yeah.
But for me to scale up a little bit and to be taking on maybe more of those double wedding weekends or larger scale events, you've got to have a team there that's kind of been working with you and that you trust and can help you implement. But in the past, it's just been, I mean, looking at each event and, you know, I reach out to freelancers and I see who wants to work, and you just delegate tasks, and you kind of know who's good at what. And a lot of times I purposely will, you know, I'll have people on my team that have, you know, I don't want a bunch of Mariannes. I want some people that love the structural stuff and doing the math and figuring out how much weight this can hold. I mean, I'll do that, but I want to have someone there that's like, I'm like, you're good at figuring out how to hang stuff and it not falling, and come do that. So, yeah.
Something I really admire about you is, like, there could be a riot going on, like, around you, and things could be falling, and there could be like a whirlwind happening, and you're just like, so anyway, then I said blah blah blah. Like, you are so
good thing.
No, you're so cool in the chaos. And I think I mean, I'm not good at events. I've never been good at events, but I really admire people who are in their industry cool in the chaos. And where does that come from? And how have you developed that? Or is it just like a natural skill, or what is it?
How have I developed that? Should we get my therapist on? Should we like?
No, I mean,
I'm joking. I'm teasing. I know.
See if they're not busy.
I don't know. I think, I mean, this sounds so cliche, and I think I've said it a million times, and I kind of say it jokingly, but I really do kind of have that ADD brain, and I think we kind of thrive on it's like I need someone else to be the boss of me, and the event is the boss of me, right? So it drives me. I will not let someone else down, but I
There's
will
a
let
finish
myself.
line. There's
There's
like
a finish
tasks to be done.
deadline. There's so much energy around it, and you get in there, and I did get a little more panicky at first. But the farther out I go, there's always a pivot. There, what I had in my mind of exactly what this is going to look like was just in my head. So if something doesn't come in my order, or there's always a fix, and sometimes the fix is better. I think in every business you learn that. Um, so I just I don't panic as much anymore. I think I've been through some hard things in my life, and and you get old enough and you realize like you're going to be okay. And so, I mean, I definitely have moments I freak out and I panic and I rant. I like to think it's funny when I do.
No,
But
I mean, you always find like the comedic edge to it and
yeah,
you do a good job. But like, I've seen you in some very stressful situations, and it's like almost like you have Teflon against it. You're just like, I'm going to get done what I need to get done. I'm not going to be rushed in this. And whatever's going to be done is going to be done. And whatever's not is not.
that's nice of you to say. That's an interesting outside perspective. I I I don't know. I definitely I'm hardwired for the event industry. I feel like it's a good fit for me. I've had people come, there's a lot of times people see flowers and they're like, "Oh, it's beautiful." It's what they think it is and what it is different, because there's about probably 15% of it or 20% of it's what you think it is, where I'm sitting designing in my studio and I'm listening to music, and that part is amazing. I feel more connected to myself during that part than maybe almost anything else I do. It just is like this, putting colors together, and just I'm so in the moment when I'm doing that. But um there's this whole other part that's not as pretty. And when I've had people come work with me or work for me or be like, let me tag along for the day, people are often surprised, like, oh, this is too stressful for me. This is, they're getting caught up in like all the things that could go wrong. And then I've had people help me and I recognize right away, like, oh, you've got an event brain. You're like, you're gonna jump in and solve that problem. You're not gonna get super stressed. We're gonna keep it light. You have to keep it light. And it also helps working for other people and continuing to do that. The friend I worked with the last 2 days, shout out to Aris, Everbloom. She's amazing. Go follow her. She's an incredible florist and so organized and so calm and so kind. And then I just watched. I'm like, okay, how can I implement that? And I think I do a good job at some of that, but definitely some of the organization. She had everything in Canva and mock-ups, that she had these beautiful color sheets showing, this is what we're doing for the whole event, so everybody knows. It was a bigger event, so everybody kind of knows their job, and I'm kind of sitting there, I'm explaining, and I'm sending people Pinterest pictures, and sometimes I'll draw it, sometimes I'll do a watercolor of what I want it to look like, but it's like, that's probably not the best way to do it. It works, but it's fun to kind of just watch someone who's got it a little more dialed in, and uh, and realize how you can do better. So I'm excited about the prospect of being in a place where I kind of want to level up a little bit, and probably some of the planners I work with are too.
No, I mean, I think it's like so incredible that you found this career after your divorce where you've been able to like flex it up and flex it down based on the needs of like you and your children.
It's true. It's true. I can kind of block out, I'll look at my schedule and be like, okay, this is this high school graduation. Obviously, I'm not going to take a big job this weekend, or if I do, I need to make sure I've got a team in place. And then there's a lot of months where I'm like, okay, here I'm maxed. Right now is my slow season, but when wedding season comes, I'll be maxed, and then a wedding comes along that I want to do, and I'll add it on and, make sure I have enough of a team to do that. And I did a couple of travel weddings last year that were fun, and I learned a lot doing that. I've kind of stayed here, but learning to get all the flowers shipped in and collaborating in other places with other florists and getting studio space and all that stuff. That it's been fun. Every time I do something new, I'm like, you do something the first time and then you're like, okay, I'm so much more confident going in the second time. So, but yeah, I can scale my business up and down. I have to kind of know in advance but this business is, I feel like I either don't have enough to do or I have way too much to do, which is maybe the case in a lot of businesses, but with florals, it's, you're dealing with live product. And if you've got events there, once you've got those flowers, it kind of takes over my life, and that's okay. I'm kind of good at really focusing, and then I've got to learn to be better in my downtime of not just kind of being like, oh, I just did all that, I deserve this long break, and kind of managing that. So, but that's a personality issue on my end. We're going to work on it.
Yeah, but also, like, I always tell you this, I just want you to be easier on yourself. Like, look at what you've built. It's so incredible.
I've been told. Not just you. I know. I think there's areas I need to be easier on myself, and there's areas I need to be harder on myself. I need someone to be the boss of me. So.
I actually know some girls, my assistant Kit, who just joined, and she said you did her friend Allie's wedding in Laguna, and it was beautiful. Oh. Kit is a ex-corporate girly, and I'm trying to get her to start a EA business called Corporate Dropouts or something like that, corporate burnouts.
Yeah,
because she's tapped into all of the type A moms who like actually just want to work from home, and so if you need a type A mom, she's your girl.
Yeah, so that's good to know. When I feel like I'm set up enough, I'm gonna
well, the thing about Kit, so when I stepped away from Freshly Picked and I came back last year, or not last year, in 2023. And I had worked with Kit previously, like a few years previous, and just admired her and thought, oh my gosh, she has the skills that I don't have. And we really augment each other in this beautiful way. So before I even like confirmed that I was coming back to Freshly Picked, I called Kit and I was like, I need you. I don't know what you're going to do, but will you come do this with me? And she said yes. And so I felt like, listen, sometimes with a type A girly, you don't even need to get your crap together because they're going to get it together for you. Yes.
I feel like I want someone local only because I want someone that can be helping me do some back end stuff.
Yes.
But also can be like, hey, we got 300 candles to clean. Let's come bust it out, or I don't know. I feel like I kind of need both. So anyway, I've got to figure that out. I don't know. Maybe
we all have so many things to figure out about our business.
I've got to stop saying I need to figure that out. I'll stop. That'll be my last time on this podcast.
Listen, you got to figure that out, Marianne.
I'm going to figure out how to stop saying I'm going to figure it out.
You got to really figure that out. Okay. What do you have coming up this year that you're most excited about?
Okay. This is an easy one. This isn't super business related, but it is. I'm going next week on Sunday. I leave for San Miguel. I'm going to teach down in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico, florals at an oil painting workshop. I did this last year. And I did another workshop with these two ladies a year before, and the year before I went and took. So this year, this is the first year I've picked a word.
A word for your year?
A word for my year.
Okay.
And I'm not great with goals. Tend to feel like, oh, I'm going to disappoint myself. So I was like, let me pick something that I feel like is doable, is flexible. And so my word is whole, because I feel like I get really, I'm working hard on this part of my life, and then I'm working hard on this part of my life, but I'm not, and I know we don't love the word balance, but I want to be taking care of all the parts of my personality a little bit better. I'm not going to be real strict about what that looks like, but I love to paint. I'm not great at it, but I'm learning. And I tend to go, I had made this friend, Lynn, this is her painting behind me. It's one of the few original art pieces that I own, aside from crappy paintings I've done. So Lynn, we became Instagram friends. I started following her, loved her art. And she just was one of those people I DM'd. She was incredibly collaborative and would just share information. And then I saw she was doing a workshop, her and Claire Tolstrup, another florist, floral painter, and then Erin Spencer, who's an amazing landscape artist. And the three of them were doing a workshop, and I jumped in and I took it then our mutual friend Nicole said, I want to come. We went to class. We didn't know what we were doing, but we had so much fun. And, you know, I have some design and art skills, and so they all transfer over, you know, understanding color theory, understanding, you know, proportions of things. And so, went and took that, fell in love. And then the two floral artists reached out to me the next year and said, hey, we're going to, Erin can't join the workshop. We want a third piece. We think it might be fun to teach floral design for a day and have you be the third wheel here. And so I came out to Salt Lake. We did that. So much fun. And then last year they did this sanctuary retreat, and they said, hey, reach out to me. They were just doing it as two artists down in Gal. And I looked at it and thought, I have to go do it. So I reached out and said, hey, can I, are we frozen? I thought you were falling asleep for a minute. I saw your eyes shut and I was like, too long of a story.
I think it might be on my part. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So I reached out to them and said, hey, can you just put me on the agenda as a teacher just so I can have this be a full tax write-off, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we will, that's another thing this year. I'm going to get better. I'm getting better at the taxes, but I'm going to get even better. So learning all the tricks. But anyway, so they said, yeah, we'll put you on the schedule and we'll, you know, discount it for you and give you a really beautiful room. And it was so fun. And I went down and did it. And now this year, I'm going back and I'm teaching with them. And then we're actually staying a whole nother week. Some of us just for fun, but I'll teach a day of florals. Then we'll all paint the florals. But I tend to only paint when I go to the workshop. So the goal this year is I'm so, you know, like I said, events, there's a deadline. I get in there, I do it, but I really let myself down on certain things that I love doing where there's no deadline. They're just those important but not urgent things. And I stop scrolling the phone and be like, the phone is put away, and make time to kind of do those things. And so that's the goal with art, you know, maybe with, you know, fitness, spiritual practice. I don't have huge goals, but just to do a little better. And I feel like it's going to snowball into good things. So,
yes.
But that's what I'm excited.
Something that you are always so good at is you leave room for the unexpected.
I do leave a lot of room, but I need to plug in. Maybe
No.
Okay.
It's something that I love about you. And I think that that's how you became, it's like you, if we map your life out for the last like 10 years, it's like you have left room for the unexpected. And then because you save space for it and you leave room for it, it allows these beautiful things to happen in your life and like things to come together and pieces to fall into place.
It's true. I think I'm really good at friendships and and relationships. I love people. I love connection. And I just, that spending time with people and giving of yourself to people, it always comes back to you in a bigger way. You know, it's never it's interesting when I hear people say sometimes, you know, maybe a different personality type or someone say, oh, that was so nice of you to do for them. And I'm like, for them, like I'm getting something. I love this. I love connecting with people and spending time with people. And I think, you know, my life hasn't gone exactly how I planned it, but the friendships have made all the difference. And so it's like, don't ever, you know, early in my business, I know we're probably needing to end, but I will say one thing that I really did find helpful, was when you first start, there's a lot of people that reach out and it's like, do you want to collaborate on this? Do you want to do a style shoot? Do you want to do this? And at first I was really like, what do I say no to? What do I say yes to? And I had a therapist at the time, his story. We won't go there. But I did like this piece of advice, Susan. I had a therapist that lost his license. That's a different podcast. It's not a family podcast.
That's the podcast we actually need Marianne to start. I'm going to help you start that podcast, by the way.
It's a podcast where I'm going to get kicked out of like the church, my family, but it's fine. But yeah, there's some good stories.
We'll have a pseudonym and it'll be like, this is not Marianne Bates. This is someone else.
Marianne Yates.
Marianne Yates. And it's something after dark. We'll figure it out. Florals after dark.
Yeah.
Lily's
that's
after dark.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. It's gonna be a hit. It probably would be, sadly.
No, it'd be great. I'd listen.
But anyway, I was sitting in there with him when I was first starting this business and just first starting, and I was like, I don't know, how do you know what to say yes to? And how do you know? And he just looked at me and he just goes, you already know. He goes, immediately. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you get the email, you get asked the question, and you pause and you just listen to yourself. And I was like, that is bull crap. But I thought, I'm going to try it. Mm-hmm. And I swear, it's almost always right. That intuition of just, and maybe it's not just the email, but it's talking to the person or whatever, and just realizing like, yeah, this would be good for me, even though it's it's not monetarily good, but maybe it's something. Anyway, I haven't gone astray with that. So I think we can trust ourselves, especially as women. I think we're so good. I think our intuition is so good. And that was a good, big learning thing for me, just to trust myself. So sometimes I don't listen to my own advice and I go, yeah, I should have, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you learn either way, failure is feedback.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Marianne, thank you. You're the best.
Thank you. I mean, hopefully there's some, like I said, I think I'm a cautionary tale. I'm like, I'm not the greatest business.
I think that the thing is business does not have to look one way. And yeah, it does not have to business. The reason we go into business, the reason I am my own boss is because it needs to fit my lifestyle. And I've figured out how to make money in a way that allows me to live the life that I want to live. And I think you've done the same. And our businesses don't look the same, but it doesn't matter because we've both figured it out, and that's the beauty of entrepreneurship.
I don't know if I figured it out, but I'm going to get there.
Marianne, stop giving qualifiers for everything, especially compliments.
I know. Someone said to me the other day, my other friend, Colleen, she said, stop being so Catholic. You have to confess everything all the time. And
that's actually really fun, isn't it?
Because you're so Catholic. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And she's like, you always feel like you have to confess. You don't always have to it's that whole thing of like, oh, I like your shoes. Oh, I got them on sale for $25 or whatever it is, that whole thing. And, which I'm always going to do that because I want to share, the deal.
Because you're a girl's girl at heart.
I'm a girl's girl.
Yes.
Anyway, but it is. Yeah, you can adopt that. You can. Thanks, Colleen. You can steal that. I'm too Catholic, so
I love it.
I'm a Catholic Mormon.
Okay. Well, she doesn't have a website, but you can find her at Posy Pop.
Yeah, on Instagram. We're gonna get a website. You heard it here first.
Yes.
I've been saying, but we're gonna do it this year.
Okay. Do it. This is gonna be the year. It's gonna be amazing.
Figure
If you need floral designs for your Southern California wedding or event, she's your girl. And we'll travel for the right price, right?
I will travel for the right price. Love corporate stuff. Love weddings, love events, and during wedding season, I have, a higher minimum, but ask anyway.
Well,
it's off season.
And that is the thing is you are luxury wedding flowers, which I love that you are you're proudly premium on that, and your work speaks for itself. And so if you know someone that's having a luxury wedding, Marianne is your girl. She's your girl. Yes.
Your girl.
Well, thank you. You're the best. I'm so happy we got this. I've wanted to have you on the podcast. I told you this before, but when you're in Utah and it's always like you're busy, you're running around with your mom and your kids and all the things. And so
Yeah.
I love this new format because I can have all my friends that I love and admire on here, and we can talk about their wonderful businesses. So thank you.
I love listening every week and learning. And anyway, thank you for inviting me.
Of
I love you.
course. Of
I love you.
course. All
And
right. Bye, Marianne. Thank
bye.
you.